Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fan takeaways for the game between the Pies and the Eagles at Marvel. Never ceases to amaze me how much feedback there is after a disappointing win or a disappointing loss, for that matter. The feedback was extensive, so there was a lot of contribution to the fan takeaways for this week. Now, if you want to be a part of this moving forward, just follow Pies Footy on Instagram. So the handle there is pies_footy. Post-game, immediately I share an Instagram story asking what your fan takeaways are from the game. If you share it, you will more than likely feature on this show. After a game like this, however, there's probably going to be a little bit of crossover. So expect me just to skim through a couple. There's maybe like 20 comments here that we're going to have to work through. So yeah, we'll have a look at it. Stephanos says, bring in the Wombat. Benny Parsons, I'm good, mate. How are you? How have you been? Ciao, Benny Zero. Never failed to make an appearance. I love it. Andoni, rest, side bottom, bring in Mitch. Interesting. Yeah, righto. All right, so let's start with Kuzi. How you going? Hope you're well. Ella, see on first crack, we were trying different game plan on Saturday. I didn't see first crack, but like looking at the first quarter and a bit, we played really fast and through the corridor and really daring. It wasn't something we've been used to. However, in the second half, it was pretty clear. We just went a bit more longer to the contest. Am I far off it there? Yeah, I didn't watch it. Second on bring back the Wombat, says Mark. Half-Ed Dim Sim, Yasu Malaka, Southeast Wolf. Good evening. Not as angry as Blue supporters. They're pissed on their channels. It's gold, says Jay-Z. It's tough, isn't it? They're doing it rough. All right. Let's get started, shall we? So, let's begin with Max.Cohen07. Straight to the point, he says, Charlie Dean should never play AFL again. Now, VFL form warranted a try at AFL level. He's only 24, so there is potential there for him to become the player that we think he can become and hope he can become. He's in this weird gap where players fall in between the crux of like a Finlay McRae, who is just too good for VFL, but just can't do it on a consistent basis at AFL level. Yes, Charlie Dean was underwhelming against the West Coast Eagles. Got bodied a little bit too easy. Just didn't show us what we needed to see, really. There wasn't a lot of positive clips from his game, watching it back. Do I think we should drop Charlie Dean? So I think it's deeper than that, don't you think? Look at it this way. Billy Frampton is out for another 5 weeks. Or 4 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it may be. It's a soft tissue calf. That is always concerning. There's no promises in this world of elite sport, at the highest levels of intensity, that he's going to come back and it's going to be all smooth sailing. The alternative is, without Billy Frampton, you play Bruzzy, Howie, and Darcy Moore as the bastions of the back line. Okay, I understand that. However, if that doesn't work, what are we left with? Well, Charlie Dean. So while Billy Frampton is out, while we have this grace period with our record, do we want to be dropping someone like Charlie Dean after one game? Yes, Braden Maynard comes in. He's a straightaway lock into the side. I appreciate that. Can we? Look, I'll look at the predicted 23 tomorrow and see if there's a way, if we can find a way to squeeze in Charlie Dean. Off the top of my head, I'm not going to say too much because I need to look at the list and move the magnets, so they say. But I think there is a world where while Charlie Dean was disappointing in his return game to AFL, I don't know. I don't quite know if this is the end for him. And that's just where I sit with it right now. Maybe we'll put a poll in. I'm curious. Should Charlie Dean get one more run at it before the final series? I should have said yes, no, maybe. But it's either yes or no. Tell me what ship you're on. What ship are you guys on here? And what are you all saying about Charlie Dean? Dean failed, says Luke. Gonna have to play small till Frampers is back. As long as he's, God willing, as long as Frampton is fit and healthy and available. Southeast Wolf, he was lucky getting a list spot this year. He was. That's fair. Rando says Dean has had more than enough chances. He's slightly above average VFL level. That is his level. Mark Quigley says you're more optimistic about Dean than most of us. Stefano says he looks lost. Brendan says Charlie Dean is too easily pushed under the ball. He looked lost. Fair. Ben Zero says Frampton was failing constantly until he wasn't, and this year we benefit from the perseverance or persistence. This is the universe I'm living in, Benny Zero. Like I remember the things we said about Frampton, how far gone he was, and look how he's bounced back. So leave no stone unturned with this guy in this scenario where we lie in at the moment with Frampton unavailable. And with limited key size defenders, I'm just not willing to fold that hand just yet in Charlie Dean. I don't want to fold yet. Voidoid Generation says, I feel for bad piling on Dean, but he just looks lost at senior level. Judge, love your channel, mate. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Dees says, I think Dean will get at least one more chance before Frampton comes back. Brendan reckons we'll play smaller in the back line. Voido Generation says, Frampton always had the attributes. He locked down Andrews in the grand final, so there was no slouch. You couldn't get Dean to do a role and execute it. Frampton has basic footy IQ. That's probably the ultimate difference, is the size. Like, Billy Frampton's 6'6". And the thing is with Frampton, Benny Zero, is although he wasn't, yes, we were on his back big time last year, but he had shown signs in multiple games with stretches that he was capable, if he could find the level of consistency needed. The problem with Dean, in the 4 or 5 game sample size that he has had at AFL level, we haven't seen signs. We haven't even seen moments in games yet. Luke Deba says, not worth it. Would rather have the hyphen come through the back line to help out. That's a good point. Hyphen's pretty versatile there. Makes us a little bit taller. Boomer, how you going? Lots of feedback here. Darcy Moore has to play on Kerno. Illaru Smith, the next Murphy. Maybe he's in the wrong position. How quick do the weeks go when the football season is on? 4 days to go and it's on again. Baby, I love it. On replay. He just looks more slower than Framp Goat. McStay could play as a rotating defender. I was a big advocate to see one of those big 3Ms play defense this year, but it just hasn't happened. I don't think it will. He'll get another chance. He's just not ready yet. Growth mindset. I don't personally know, but trust that Fly and selection committee to make the right decision. Lawrence says, Charlie is only 24 years old. Give the guy a break. As far as I'm concerned, I would rather persist with Charlie and get rid of Frampton. Oh, Lawrence, you had me until you said get rid of Frampton. Come on, I was not a supporter of Frampton last year, but how can you not be this year? Anyone can have a bad game. Give him one more go. It's very controversial in here. It's 50-50. The poll says 51% yes, 49% no. So, look, guys, no matter how bullish you are in your opinion, the reality is it's not as what's the word? It's not as unanimous as you think in the crowd. It's genuinely 50-50, split the difference. So that's why it's important. Come in with an open mind. Hear the other side. I'll give you both sides. Munster, Joel Cochran is 6'6", but he's not ready for a lockdown role, is what I'd say. All right, let's move on to the next fan takeaway, but really good conversation, guys. We did what we had to do to win the game. Wasn't the best, but that's what we do. And that was from Hunter O'Neill 1. We did what we had to do to win the game. Wasn't the best, but that's what we do. Yeah, and that's, I think that was the feeling coming out of the game into the post-game shows. Like, we just got the job done. It's not something where, when we look back at this season, no matter where we end, I think we're not going to look back at this game and be like, yeah, this game told us a big portion of the story for 2025. I don't think so. Roman Taylor, here's the other side of the coin. Embarrassing, full stop. Yeah, that's an overreaction, but you'll get that. Dylan TCQ, better not play like that next week. Titch in for Sullivan and Bobby back in next week. Hopefully Bobby's back if he's overcome or if he's able to manage those personal reasons, whatever they may be. Titch in for Sullivan. So that's another conversation that will continue to fester through the course of this week as it did last week. So let's get into our next poll. I liked Sullivan's game. So I don't know if this is clear cut either. We've spoken about these two players. It used to be Tom Mitchell or Ned Long. Now it's Tom Mitchell or Lockie Sullivan. Tom Mitchell in for Sullivan this week, ? Hey, and it's time is ticking for Tom Mitchell in 2025. This will be interesting. I'm intrigued. Very intrigued here. But yeah, I personally really liked Lockie Sullivan's game. What did he do? I mean, look, before the game against West Coast, I thought Sullivan had a pretty slim return from the games he was a part of. But the thing is, with Tom Mitchell, if you want to have that conversation about who comes, would he come in for Sullivan? Tom Mitchell is he comes in and fixes one problem, and that's the contest. But he doesn't offer us forward ability right now. And I keep saying, I don't know why we're not seeing Tom Mitchell in the forward line in the VFL. If he's going to be a part of the side, he has to have it. So Sully had 13 touches, 3 inside 50s. I'm pretty sure he kicked a goal. He had a 2 goal assist, 1 to Lipinski, 6 score involvements, and 6 tackles or 6 turnovers. Interesting. So from 13 touches, 6 turnovers. Man, like, he's also walking on thin ice, Lockie Sullivan, week to week, just because the role he plays, it's a hard role to play, and that's what's been I guess put in front of him right now, and that's where he's at. So yeah, I thought he was good, but 6 turnovers, I'm not sure. I'd have to watch that back. 6 turnovers, interesting that. And that's the thing. Sullivan will give you more pace relative to a Tom Mitchell, which ties into why Tom Mitchell isn't playing forward at the moment. It's because he doesn't really have that pace to apply pressure. In the contest, he can apply pressure. Did Dees say Allen for Titch? That's not going to happen. Shooter MD should be coming back this week or next week. Mello says Carlton are based off contested footy, so Mitchell might be needed. If there's ever a game to bring someone back in like Tom Mitchell, it'd be for this game against Carlton, who are the number 1 side with regards to contest and clearance. Wow, 83. It's a resounding yes for this one. I thought this would be more 50-50. I thought most of you would say Charlie Dean won't get another shot, and that was in fact 50-50 in the end. With this one, this is lopsided. Tom Mitchell, 83% of you say he should come in for Lockie Sullivan. And Dodger says we need to see if Titch still has what it takes. That's what we're all here for in the end. We can make these cases. Is he too slow as a forward? Is he this? Is he that? Let's see. If they're going to bring him in, it probably won't be for that forward mid role. They're going to find a way. I reckon if Tom Mitchell is to play, if he's to start a game at AFL level, I reckon he might get the Mason Cox treatment and play like 50% of the game. And most of his time is in the middle. That's what I see. 50, 60% time on ground. Like if we go have a look, right? Are you guys aware that when Mason Cox plays, he's actually very rarely on the ground? Like I just want to see what type of time on ground our players are having. If there's anyone here. Let's go back. All right, Collingwood. Time on ground. So Mason Cox has 63% time on ground. Sullivan's been a sub, so that won't count. The next closest would be... Yeah, Cox is... When it comes to players who have started on the field at the start of the game, Mason Cox, 63% time on ground, just doesn't spend a great deal out there. He's usually on the interchange. So I think if Tom Mitchell comes in, maybe that's the way to go. And then, yeah, maybe you sub Tom Mitchell out or you start him as a sub. But I'm just saying if he is to start. Ed Allen didn't have the best game on the weekend either. I thought Ed was good. I thought Ed had a really good first half. I'm not too sure about his second half, but I can't see anyone making a case that Ed Allen should be dropped. I think he's a part of the future, and he's almost. I would argue Ed Allen is very close to being a part of the present moment, the final series. How many touches did he have, Ed Allen? 16 touches. Had a couple shots on goal. Had he put away those 2 shots on goal, we'd probably be talking very differently about the game he had. 16 touches, 4 tackles, 5 score involvements, 5 intercept possessions, which is what you want as a ruckman. I think he took a contested mark as well. He did to go back inside 50 early in the game, was it? Morgan says there is a case for Cox in the best 22. The lower teams have been intercepting that long bomb, which is usually for Cox. There is always a case for Mason Cox, isn't there? Jordan Polderman says, was Nick trying too hard to poll votes? Sometimes pure quality over quantity seems better. I think Nick Dacos was still good. Like, if we're calling that stat padding, 34 touches, a lot of his ball was on the outside. Maybe that's why you think Nick Dacos was stat padding. But Nick Dacos on the outside is probably the best version, is the version we want for Collingwood for the most part. Because he can damage by foot, he runs and carries, he gets the ball 2-3 times in one sequence. Nick Dacos is the vanguard of the Collingwood Football Club, and he will continue to be that in many different versions over the course of the years. And we can see Nick Dacos as the outside player, Nick Dacos as the inside player, Nick Dacos running off the half-back. We got Nick Dacos in the forward line. 9 score involvements, 4 clearances, 7 turnovers, which is, I suppose, if you're looking at Lockie Sullivan, who's half of his turnovers from 13 touches were turnovers, this isn't too bad. 5 clearances, 3 tackles. Nick Dacos. And a clutch goal towards the end, wasn't it? Oh, not a clutch goal, but it was a good goal whenever that was. So that was from Jordan Polderman. Feast of Dance is frustrating inside 50s, but not a fully fit team. So get the dub and move on. Yeah, so get the dub and move on. Not a fully fit team. Completely weary of that. Frustrating inside 50s. Look, we rectified it in the second half. I thought we were just a little bit sloppy more than anything. We were sloppy. We were a bit fumbly. We took on kicks that we don't usually take. Josh Dacos probably had 4. I think he had 4 turnovers in the first quarter, and he finished with 6 turnovers for the game. So I just think our connection wasn't there. And then by the end of the game, I think our efficiency inside 50 was beyond 50%. So every 1 in 2 times we went inside 50, we would result a scoring shot, and that is creme de la creme. That is. Let's have a look. Scoring shots per inside 50. So for the year, Collingwood are second in that stat, 48%. And Western Bulldogs are first, 49.3. We converted a scoring shot more than 50% of the times we went inside 50. So read into that however you wish. Aquila Pereira, we already spoken about this, but I'll give him a shout out. Dean is not up to it. And Abdul Rahman _89 says Jeremy Howe is our most important player. Yeah, he is the bastion of our backline. He is super important, so reliable. He's having without the stats, in my eyes, he's having a career type of season. And look, heads will roll if Howe doesn't make it to the final series, knock on wood, for whatever reason. I think it's going to be, that will hurt. That will hurt. He's our most important defender. I agree with that wholeheartedly. What else is going on here? Black and White United. Our depth is getting tested now. We need Schultz and Bowe back. I think we saw that on the weekend. Like, Lipinski and Sullivan were our high half forwards, and while they run till the cows come home, they don't have that speed to chase you down in transition. And I think that's just what Schultz, McCreary, Bobby Hill do so well. When teams are trying to rebound, when they think they're out, clear in transition, you all of a sudden have Lockie Schultz, creeping on your heels, about to bring you to the ground. Same with McCreary, same with Bobby. What else? Christopher, hold on. H. Dimmitt says Eagles will have air sickness on the way home after their grand final loss. I got confused reading that for a second, but H. Dimmitt is just implying that this is West Coast's biggest game for the season. Harrison Rogers, drop and never give Charlie Dean another go, which once again, we've already spoken about this, but I just wanted to share it. Any other ones that relate to Charlie Dean? Lucas Hamilton, 25. Dean, unfortunately, no good. West is 12 months away. Allen seems to be going well. We'll come back to that one. Ed Allen, back to the reserve, says Nathan Leet. I'm just not there. Like I said, as we've already mentioned, I think Ed Allen has been playing good enough. He's definitely not the 23rd player in the side right now. You've got, I think, Lockie Sullivan comes out before and Ed Allen. Just think he's doing well. And he's growing into his game slowly. Father of the Chosen One says, ever notice that the average teams have a stinker the week prior to playing us? Personally, I haven't noticed it, but I mean, if you think about it, West Coast, what did they have a stinker last week? I know Carlton had a stinker, so now they're coming into a game where they need to fire up. St Kilda had a stinker. They need to fire up against us. It is what it is. Cruz McLeavy says, if we dish this shit up during finals, kiss the granny goodbye. I'm not willing to draw those dots together, am I? A game against West Coast at Marvel and trying to correlate that to the potential of it seeping into our finals game. I don't believe that yet. I am Bastion B says, Dan does footy should never celebrate halftime. He's pretty much cursed every game. Jeez. I didn't see his Instagram, but I presume he was up and about when the Pies were down by 8 points at halftime against the Eagles, I would say. Joycey _21 says, members is money. He's been great. Membry. Somebody who said here, someone said West is 12 months away, and I think that's where we stand with it. I think we're going to settle. We have to settle, in my opinion. We have to settle with Membry, Myercheck, and McStay. Get Westy back into the VFL. Give him his time. Finish there. I'm sure he'd be close to winning or is close to the VFL Coleman or the leading goal scorer there. So let him try to chase that down. The VFL Pies they're on their way to securing a finals berth as well. So there's a quest there for West. A quest for West. And then next year we can have a look at how he fits into the side when yeah, the Triple M's are here next year. We'll just see what happens, right? Vinny 1985 says fundamentals were terrible. They were, especially in the first half. Sometimes you just drop to the level that you're playing against. It's just the way it is. Let's catch up with some comments here. No excuses for our forwards this week. No Sard and Silvani, says Rick. Yeah, so Sard is definite out. I heard Silvani has a chance to be out. Is that right? Southeast Wolf says we beat Carlton and that's their season done. Shouldn't that be the motivation this week? 100%. Of course, they're part of the motivation. We did it to them in 22. Let's burst their bubble again. I know that they haven't got. They're probably most of their fans are checked out to a certain extent, but yeah, this one, if we can beat them and hurt them, I think that would, that'd leave a sour taste in their mouth for sure. Brendan Rouse says we are back at the MCG, so relax, Pie fans. We play much better there. That's right. The grand finals played at the G. We miss Maynard's toughness around the ball, says Brendan. 100%. 100,000,000% agree, and I don't think anyone would disagree with you. Godzilla says, geez, people are harsh at a young guy who hasn't had a sustained run in the team. People said the same about Frampton until they stuck with him. Yeah, I suppose, Godzilla, that was a part of one part of a very big conversation early in the show. We looked at it from different angles. We looked at it from persevere with him. We mentioned some of the differences. Frampton, while yes he was inconsistent, we'd seen signs at AFL level that he was to the level. Whereas with Charlie Dean, he's had 5-6 games where he just, at his age and his position at the club he's at right now, there's not a lot of leeway. But for me, I would be more than happy to see Charlie Dean play this week. If we can fit Charlie Dean and Braden Maynard into the side. Lots of water to go under the bridge until then. Lucas Hamilton says, our game is heavily reliant on the fast half forwards, and all three are out at the moment. Hill, McCreary, Shooter. We saw it big time on Saturday night. I think we'll look forward. We'll relish having at least two of those three back, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks. I'm not too sure where we're at with it. Scotty Lynch says, we have great depth, but the cavalry needs to start coming back. So yeah, we'll look at our list. We've got Schultz out, we've got DeGoey out, we've got Maynard out, Titch is around the mark, Bobby Hill, McCreary. So yeah, we've got some players unavailable at the moment. Let's not beat around the bush here. Bailey Gurdev says, man, we make it rough, but job done. On to making the Blues season worse next week. Yes, sir. Alex.H says, didn't look good, still got the win. We didn't gel well like we do. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. The cohesion wasn't there in the first half. An ugly win, says Pink Pies 21. Jake Budd says, very good second half. Jet Harrison's need to be clinical for a team like West Coast. They surprised us. Got to be ready. Look, as a Collingwood fan, for the longest time, we just don't smash teams. But what do you want to be? Do you want to be a Western Bulldogs side who pump their flat track bullies? They pump the lesser teams, but they struggle against the top 8 teams. We've put away Sydney, Brisbane, Hawthorn by 30, 40, 50 points this year. Great teams. That gives me more joy and confidence in our side going into the final series than beating West Coast by 80, 90 points. Matt JDLCRZ says, the team did what was required. Time to plan for September. Kynan _tap. Had to watch this piss poor performance at the pub and was so distracted I broke a wine glass. Calm down, son. Calm down. Jono Mon D says, being mentally ready each week is hard. Like we said, sometimes you just drop to the level. It's cold. It's hard to find motivators when you're 13-2, 12-2. Look at how we had a couple injuries towards the back end of 2023, which was part of the reason why we dropped off a little bit. But even then, when you wrap up top two so early in the season, we're destined for top two right now. We're 13-2. We only need 3 more wins in my opinion, to sew up top two. It's hard to find that motivation. It really is. As a fan, for me, guys, the last 2-3 weeks have been hard to get excited about. That's the reality for me. Imagine how hard it is for them to a certain degree. What else have we got? Beasley, Benny Parsons did enough to get the W, but can't get complacent. Fair. Carrot Gold says too many handballs and sloppy. Thought we were going to get beaten by the bottom team. There was a moment probably in that. Nah, there wasn't really. Was there a moment where I felt like we were going to be beaten? I don't know. I just knew we were in for one. That's what I could see and appreciate. A lot of handballs in the first half in particular, but yeah, we just went back to our safer ways, our risk-averse ways of playing at the moment. And L Mag says second gear just did what we needed to get the 4 points. All right, let's catch up to some comments. Why don't we? Let's catch up to some comments. Where are we? Stu Peters says Quaynor has been really good. He's been indomitable, mate. You just can't beat him in the contest at the moment. He's been great. West kicked 6 when he had the forward line to himself in the VFL. He did. So he's not going to be the guy at AFL level for at least a couple of years. He's going to have to share the load. Maddie on Travels says, I drop Sullivan and bring in Mitchell for a bit of extra gun, and he's good at the contest. And like to see both Titch and Longy playing together on the same side might be good. We'll see. Wettering also looked like he was playing through injury against Port Adelaide, says Dees. Yeah, it looked like his ankle was a bit funky. Voido Generation says, I like that Ed Allen is constantly involved in every play. Yeah, he's just got a tank on him. And as he fills out his size, he'll be a really good aerial winger as well. And eventually perhaps transition into the midfield is where we see him. Ben Zero says, Maynard did not train today either. Okay, watch his space. Dibbar says, more than anything, the lack of speed in the half-forward line was sorely missed this week. Hunt, completely agree. And we saw it all to be seen under the bright lights of Marvel. He may have done a heavy session on the weekend, though, says Ben, potentially. End Time says, we rested the whole team against West Coast. Everybody relax. Yeah, I mean, we had some players out, but you can't say West Coast don't have their own issues. They had Elliot Yeo out. They have Jeremy McGovern, who's not going to return. Oscar Allen, Jake Waterman. Anyone else? Like that's your top 4 or 5 players that you want playing. They don't have Tom Barras anymore. Are you watching Ed Allen, says Stu. Jack says, we had a different looking team and still got the job done against the bottom team. Yes, but they played well and still won by 5 goals. Pies almost locked in top 4 now and just need to get through the year with no injuries. Well said. Voido Generation says, I'd rather them be out now than in 6 weeks. We're in best position I can ever remember us being in as a club at the point of the season. Yeah, I was speaking to Jake from Saints TV last week, and he reminded me of how well Geelong were going in 2009. I think they lost. Was it 2009? Yeah, I think it was 2009 where they lost. They won 20 games. I think they only lost 2 games for the year. But then it also reminds me of like there's 2011, the way we're comprehensively beating really good teams, and but also like how well we're going in a win-loss column, and then what happens in the end. It's just footy, the way the finals are set, it's quite unforgiving. It's not like basketball where you have a series of 7. Sometimes the best team throughout the course of the year is not the one who lifts the trophy in the end. And that's because all that matters is in prelims and grand finals, it's who is the better team on the day, who takes their chances on their day. What is our accuracy for the year in saying that? We are an average AFL side when it comes to accuracy in front of goal. Number 1 are the Bulldogs, who we might see in the finals. Number 2 are Geelong, who we probably will see in the finals, more likely than not. Adelaide are 51%. Third. And then teams like Hawthorn and Fremantle and Gold Coast are a little bit less, but still better accuracy than us. And Brisbane are just beneath us. So we need to be more accurate going into the final series would be a nice little wish of mine. What about Jacob Ryan, says Mark? I think he was on crutches at training today, so that's not good. Probably won't see him around for a little while. Was he ever going to break into the side this year as the season wore on? Probably not. But he's working towards a berth next year, I feel like. Lance says, I would like to see Titch in, and then we can see him smash Carlton, please. We don't play great at Marvel either. Yep, that's true. What else are we saying? The lower teams play the Pies like it's their grand final, says Dodger. I would rather win ugly than lose with dignity. Very true. The Saints almost beat Freo at home, so beating them by 4 or 5 goals ain't all that bad, right? I think we need to chill. Every game is different. Every game is different, isn't it? There's results that happen between two certain teams and then they all face off against different teams the next week, and that's why it just doesn't make sense sometimes. Benny says, this Friday I'd love to have the win locked up by half time so I can chill and watch the second half. Yeah, let's put them away. Don't need to be stressing about Carlton and injuries. Dodger says, I feel like West got in the way of a few important marking contests that will improve with experience. Yeah, the synergy when it came to jumping up and contesting for the ball was, it was obvious. It was quite clear that there was a lack of understanding there. But yeah, when you put in Charlie West, a young kid who's just hungry, although, to be fair, I felt like the one where he kicked his goal and Jamie Elliott went up for it, I thought Jamie Elliott should have stayed down. And I thought West did the right thing going up for that one. Voido Generation says, Melbourne nearly beat the Suns up there, so put into perspective, it's not like our last 3 opponents aren't taking it to the other sides too. These are an okay side on their day, but also the Suns, I mean, we don't quite know what type of team they're. They might be, right now, they're a 6 to 8 team, 6 to 8 seed. Mello says Allen will stay in until JDG is back. Look, to be fair, when you have Schultz, McCreary, Hill, JDG, and Maynard back, Allen's spot will be up for grabs. But until we get there, I'm just not willing to dive into that too much. Didn't the Cats only beat West Coast by 30 odd as well? Yeah, I think I made the point post-game. Like, West Coast haven't lost by more than 70 points since round 5. So they're not getting pumped. They're having a bad quarter and a half, and then they lose the arm wrestle. But for the most part of the year, the scoreline's been respectable. North drew with Brisbane as well, yep. A lot of funky results. Michali says, we're going through a minor form slump and still winning, which is a good sign, 100%. West Coast had a crack, thought their pressure was good enough to make it competitive. Hey, I was happy. I'll be honest with you, on a Saturday night where we're playing a team like West Coast, I was glad that there was a bit of heat in it, a bit of competition. The game was up for grabs. I didn't mind it. And I trusted that the boys in the end will be professional, the consummate guys that they are, like to go Pendlebury and Sidebottom. They'll lead the way, and that's what happened. Voido Generation says, I can take you back to 2005. Pies were last on the ladder, playing the Eagles, who were on top. We beat them in a huge upset. Means nothing. They still played in the grand final this year. They still played into the grand final that year, sorry. Dees says, apparently Bobby Hill wasn't at training today. Okay. Watch this space, I guess. Southeast Wolf says, we did bomb it in most of the game, maybe due to having such a tall forward line. We have not played that tall all year. I don't think so either. I don't think McRae will persevere with that either. It's just too much of it. There's too much of a teething period and too much of a risk just having 4 key tools in the modern game anyways. Jacob Ryan has done an ankle. Was it syndesmosis? Mark says, Marvel is more narrow than the MCG. That might be a small factor in how we play. Yeah, AB said Elliot was flying against the tall two. That's exactly right. It's our foot skills and inside 50 entries that stop us from blowing teams away. I don't know about that, Rick. I'm not sure if you were here about 10 minutes ago, but I mentioned that we are the most efficient side. When we go inside 50, we are behind Western Bulldogs. We're the most efficient side to putting score on the board. I think where we lack is our accuracy. We're below average AFL side when it comes to accuracy in front of goal. And maybe like in the last 5-6 weeks, we haven't been a high inside 50 team. Like we're an average team when it comes to how many inside 50s we get. We average 52. The best is 58, which is Gold Coast. Below average for the Pies. Like Melbourne, Sydney, Carlton, Gold Coast all get more inside 50s than us. And all the top sides as well. The teams beneath us, Port, GWS, St Kilda, West Coast, North Melbourne, Essendon, Richmond. Inside 50s. When is... Tom Mitchell in for Sullivan this week. 80%. It's unanimous. Interesting. Stu says, Anthony, we should challenge Dan Does Footy to get a Carlton 2025 premiership tat when we beat them. He shaved his head. I don't think he'll do that, mate. I think he knows. Rick says, we need to isolate Houston more to utilize his kicking. See, maybe this calls for another poll, right? I don't think so. I think I'm happy with the way Dan Houston's going for a number of reasons. One, it takes time to adjust and adapt. He came from Port Adelaide, where he was the guy in the back half. At Collingwood, he's not the guy. Our guy is Josh Dacos. He's the guy we want getting 30 touches a game and getting 50% of his touches in the back half and 50 of them in the forward half, providing some inside 50s. If Dan Houston allows that for Josh Dacos, then we don't need Dan Houston to be having 25 touches and kicking a goal every second game from 55. Are you happy with Dan Houston's output so far? I'll say yes, no, not sure. Put that back in. So yeah, I think as long as someone is doing the damage from the back half, if Dan Houston plays a role, then so be it. If he gets his 18 touches, kicks his goal every now and then, and intercepts as well, I'm happy with that. We need to isolate. So that's what I just said. Tom Mitchell should come in. His form in the VFL is elite, says Pasindu. Or play him as a sub if needed. Benny says, Rick, I had the thought today or even to play him a bit more forward for the entries and goals. Collingwood forever. We don't know if Tom Mitchell's coming back yet. We don't know. We're just sort of speculating if he is to come in or not. It's just a reminder to take no opposition lightly, says Stephanos. Collingwood forever. So Tom Mitchell had some plantar fascia issues with his, so that's his foot, the foot under his foot. He's been playing in the VFL for like, 6 to 8 weeks now, and he's playing really well, but there's just not a spot available for him right now. Blinker says, I think McCreary needs a permanent run in the midfield on return, shown great potential and looks like a clearance machine. He looks like a really good centre bounce midfielder. I just don't know if he has the tank to run out a game in the midfield, but I definitely would love to see Bo McCreary play more in the midfield. He's probably spent like 20, 30% in the midfield at times. I'd like to see him play a game where he spends 50% there. But it seems like every time he gets an opportunity in the midfield, he gets injured. I remember Carlton last year. He had the license to play full-time mid, and he gets knocked out in the first quarter. Dodger says, I love McCreary in the midfield. May come down to his stamina. We're seeing that more frequently, though. Voido Generation says, would you put Oleg in for a full game so we can release Houston into the middle? No. I think I'm look. I think I'm happy with our midfield at the moment, and I don't know if Houston has the contested ability. He's more of an outside player. Houston had one of his best games so far. AB says, how good was Houston's goal from downtown? Houston is playing okay, and Jacos is running amok. We're the most efficient by hand, moving the ball, not by foot. David King said the numbers show we're one of the worst kicking sides. Are we one of the worst kicking sides because we kick the ball a lot, though? What are we when it comes to kicking? Oh, we're not much of a kicking side. It's almost a 1-to-1. It's like for every kick or for every it's 200 kicks to 144 handballs per game. So yeah, there's your maths there. But that's looking beneath us. We're not a high disposal team, are we? Never have been. So yeah, I don't have those numbers, how we are. So we are the most efficient by hand, moving the ball, not by foot. David King said the numbers show we are one of the worst kicking sides. I just don't know how you can be the best team in the comp while also being one of the worst kicking sides in the league. I don't know if I subscribe to that idea. I'd like to get your thoughts, guys, on that. Give Houston time like Schultz. That's certainly one of the angles. Southeast Wolf says, Houston's played only 10 games with us, probably still learning our game plan. Takes time to gel consistently. Spot on. Nathan Church says, just like 2023, we're doing it differently to other teams. That's our point of difference. There you go. Just doing it differently. We had to evolve from the way we were just manic with our transition, and we're a bit more methodical now, and that's what's working for us at the moment. We need to keep on our toes. Carlton will come fired up Friday night for sure. Pointy's stats are pretty stupid. We are always almost last in every stat. Yeah, go figure. Look at 2023. Mark says, love Bo, but that's his third hammy now at full speed in as many years. Yeah, it's I don't know if it warrants a concern just yet, but keep a look at it, keep an eye on it. Champion data can be misleading. I think Ed Allen has been pretty good. Tall, crafty mid with elite running, 5'10" kg more of muscle, and he'll be a weapon. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the evolution of Ed Allen in the next 3-4 years when he does put on some size. He's gonna have right now he's developing his outside craft, and when he's ready to go on the inside and add that to his game, he could be someone who blossoms late in his career. One of those type of players, I believe, for sure. But guys, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for sticking around for the fan takeaways, and if you want to support the channel, there's a little money sign somewhere on your screen where you can either donate a super chat or go through and become a member for $5 a month. So if you want to support the channel, that's one of the ways you can do it. Deez said, and I'll keep going for a little bit longer anyways. It's 6:50, maybe 5 more minutes. Ben Zero says, so much of champion data you can throw out, but the historical key points definitely help and are accurate. Well, it's just, at the end of the day, convert the chances you have, withstand the momentum shifts, and you go a long way. And making clutch decisions in clutch moments. Like a lot of teams find themselves in winning opportunities like the Saints did against Fremantle, but because they're so young, they don't win that game. But you put Collingwood in that position, they win. Cooper Juice has got to take it all with a grain of salt. And that's the thing with stats, and particularly champion data. I like referencing stats as long as you can paint the picture with it. Like, you've got to be able to explain it with your eyes as well, rather than just saying these are the numbers, because those numbers have a story behind them and can be misleading at times. But they can also be really, really good points to reinforce the points you are making. All right, cool. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll be back tomorrow for a Pies Presser. We'll do the Predictor 23 live, and we'll see you there. Go Pies.